it's somewhat obvious. We have to start with St. Joseph. And I think St. Joseph represents kind of the strength within fatherhood, an ideal of a strength in fatherhood. Now, what do I mean by strength? I think there's kind of four parts to what St. Joseph showed us. Number one, he trusted God. And I mean really trusted God. Once he was sure God was asking him to do something, it was like the stories that you hear in the Old Testament. Here I am. What do you want me to do? And he set about doing it. So number one, he was a man of God. He really trusted God. Number two, he was obedient. So yes, fathers lead. Yes, fathers give direction, but they're also obedient to God. Once he knew God was asking him to do something, he had angelic dreams, but he also had kind of a discernment that Mary was receiving through angelic visitations. He knew that God was giving him direction, that it wasn't just a dream. And once he was sure of that, he obeyed. So he trusted, he obeyed. Number three, he was strong and decisive in putting his family first. When we think about the story of them fleeing into Egypt to protect Jesus from Herod having all the children of a certain age killed because of the Magi coming and saying that, this king has been born. So Herod says, well, I'll take care of that. I'll just kill all the children that have been born in the last, number of years, and that way I'll be sure to wipe them out, because he felt threatened. Well, when Joseph took Mary and Jesus into Egypt, I think one thing we forget, Deb, is he was really like giving up whatever security he had. We knew he was a carpenter. We knew he was a laborer. He gave up all of that to become a refugee. And traditionally, they stayed there for 3 to 4 years, which is, of course, referenced in Revelations 12:1-6, in the story of the dragon and the woman giving birth to the child and then being taken into the desert for, if you calculate it out, about 3 years, and being protected. Well, how did God take her into the desert? Through St. Joseph, through his strong and decisive action. He was acting for God. The fourth thing about Joseph that was very strong is that he worked hard and he provided. So in spite of all this, his life being turned upside down, her life being turned upside down, all the uncertainty that they were facing, he still worked hard enough to provide and keep the family going. He put food on the table. He managed to get all that traveling done. He found work when they got to Egypt. He must have. And he brought them back and continued to provide for them until he went to God, until he died. So again, St. Joseph, I think, represents kind of the strength of fatherhood, trusting God, obeying God, strong and decisive in putting his family first, and a hard worker.
Oh, I completely agree with you. That's why I loved the book that Father Donald Calloway put together on St. Joseph. We had the Year of St. Joseph. A lot of folks were consecrated to St. Joseph. We learned a lot about St. Joseph, which we didn't know, and it allowed us to grow closer to him, to have him be that role model for fatherhood, right? To have him be that person that we would lean on. He's got so many titles, right? But one of them is Terror of Demons. That should make all fathers, pay attention to that, right? And say, okay, I need to go to St. Joseph because I need to protect my family. I need to serve my family. I need to be there for my family. Call in just like Daphne did in Morgantown, West Virginia on Light of Light Radio. Hi, Daphne. Welcome.
Well, I just wanted to mention that I'm a single mom. I have a lovely 17-year-old daughter, but, being a single parent can kind of be lonely. And I fully recognize that, father's touch and influence on my daughter's life is very important. So I pray to St. Joseph a lot. I pray for him, or pray to ask him for his prayers for me as a parent and for to help support me as a parent. I pray to ask him to pick up where I leave off, like a father would, and to be a supportive father for my daughter. And I feel his grace, or God's grace and blessings in our life as a result of that prayer. I pray the prayer of St. Joseph and the litany of St. Joseph very frequently. And I just can't say enough about how blessed I've been to have him in my life.
Wow, that's beautiful. You know, Deb, it makes me think of so many people that I've met over the years, you know, that have either a parent has died or there was an estrangement or they were, you know, maybe gone from the time they were little. The idea of asking the Holy Family, you know, to step in spiritually and take us as their spiritual children. It's been really helpful for a lot of people. And it's not just a thought that you do, you know, to try to convince yourself to feel good. It's a genuine spiritual benefit to ask the Holy Family to step in. You know, we ask Mary to be our mother in a particular way. And I think we don't talk as much about asking Joseph to be our father.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You nailed it, Daphne. Now, a couple things I just wanted to add to your relationship with St. Joseph. Have you done the Father Donald Calloway's book on St. Joseph and consecrate yourself and your daughter? Ask your daughter to go through it, to consecrate yourselves to St. Joseph.
No, but I would love to. I didn't know of it.
Absolutely. Okay, pick up the book. It's a very thick book. It's beautiful to go through. You do it day by day, and then you and your daughter can do it together. At the end, you do the consecration. We were all consecrated. Years ago, Jerry Usher and I, we decided to take it on, and we did it. And my husband did it. My sister did it. Tons of family members did it, and then now it's kind of led into the spirit world family as well. So you can pick up the book, The Consecration to St. Joseph.
Okay, I'll do it. Thank you so much.
Well, and let me just tell you something, Daphne. I will tell you this. I've heard of stories. Okay, these are all stories that have come in over the shows over the past several years when we had the year of St. Joseph and people were consecrated. Thank you, Father Donald Calloway. It took him a lot to write that book. He went up against a ton of spiritual resistance. And I will tell you that a lot of people, after getting consecrated, it just blossomed into a whole new level of spiritual blessings. So be ready for that.
Looking forward to it.
Okay, so we're going to go to our dear friend Deacon Paul. Yes, he is a deacon in the Catholic Church. Deacon Paul in Santa Barbara, California, listening on a GRN, that's Guadalupe Radio Network online. Deacon, welcome back to the program.
I'm going to make this quick. I was amazed by the story about having St. Joseph to take over as a father. When I was young, 10 years old, I lost my dad. And I was out after the funeral and didn't know where to go. So I prayed to God the Father, and I said, you took my dad. And I said, at this time, please be my father and my brother to watch over us. And to do something like that, you don't understand the miracles and the beauty of to have things happen and guide you throughout your life. And I do tell people that if you don't have a father, ask to be guided by the saints or God the Father to be with you. And keep praying and keeping the faith. And it's helped me a lot. Thank you.
Wow, it's beautiful, Deacon. And I'm sorry you lost him at such a critical age, but it sounds like, God's grace provided for you. You know, Deb, I don't want to talk too much because I want to keep going and get to everybody, but, you know, what he did there, and that was an amazing thing for a 10-year-old to do.
Oh, yeah.
Emotionally and spiritually to have the insight to pray that way. You know, when we really ask God to help us and say, because it's true, without you, I don't know what to do. I can't handle this. I need your help. I need you to take the wheel to some extent in my life. It's a powerful thing. And I've just met so many people that have been transformed when they've really asked God to provide guidance